You've probably had one of those moments where you're like, why am I doing this again? You go to school, study subjects that you don't really care about, or wake up tired, or go to a job that you don't even love, or wake up and go on your phone and scroll for things that you don't really care about, and deep down you know something's wrong, but you don't even know where to start. And for the longest time, that was me. I thought I needed things like more motivation, more discipline, more structure, but none of that stuff stuck. But weirdly enough, what helped me in all of this was just reading, more specifically philosophy. Not in a textbook boring way of guys arguing, no. It was simply just the act of me asking myself better questions, and that's when I found Socrates. He wasn't about the big theories or the fancy language. His whole thing was asking people questions and they realize they don't even know that much about themselves. And once I started doing that, that's where things started to change for me. I started to perceive things a little bit different. For example, I used to tell myself that I'm not a consistent person. Let's say I'd wake up and I'd decide I'm gonna work out, create, go for a walk, do something active. And after a week of falling off, I'll just tell myself, this is who I am. But then I started asking myself questions of, where did I learn that about myself? Is this really true or is it just familiar? And it turns out that I never proven that I couldn't be consistent. I just never gave myself enough time to succeed. And Socrates would say the unexamined life is not worth living. Turns out I never really examined my life at all. Here's another one. I'd stay in friendships that drained me just because we had some sort of history, or I'd keep a goal alive that no longer benefited me just because I didn't want to give up. But I never really stopped to ask, is this aligned with the person who I'm becoming? Because that's how a lot of us get stuck. For a lot of people, it's normal to live life on default, following stories that they didn't write and chasing things that they don't care about anymore. And then we wonder why we're burnt out, lost, or just numb. And Socrates didn't just give answers, but he cut through the noise. He asked questions like, why do you believe what you believe? Are you still following your values, or are you following somebody else's, and what's actually important to you? And I always think to myself, there's no point in trying to better yourself if you're not at least going to be honest with yourself, because a lot of the time, you're not lazy, you're just misaligned. You're out here grinding for goals that don't even match the person who you are anymore, and then you come to the realization that all of it was pointless. Take that one guy who says, I want to start my own business, but they never start and then they beat themselves up for it. And the more Socratic approach to this would be, do you really want to start that thing, or do you just like the idea of what you think it will give you? And do you honestly think you're a failure, or are you just afraid of becoming the person who you always said that you wanted to be? And I genuinely believe that both of those answers can bear some type of weight, and those questions will hurt sometimes, but they'll wake you up. And that's what real self-improvement is about, not adding more, but stripping away everything that feels false. And here's one more thing that changed everything for me. I used to tell myself that I don't have time. But then when I got a little bit more honest, I realized that I do have time, but I don't have clarity. Because without clarity, every single distraction feels like a priority. You scroll, you second guess, you wait, and then suddenly all these days just start blurring together. And it's not laziness, but it's just life without reflection. And as Socrates said, life without reflection isn't living. So here's the point to all of this. You don't need more motivation, you need more curiosity, not about the world, but about yourself. You need to start asking yourself questions like, what have I accepted about myself which isn't actually true? What patterns am I repeating without realizing it? If I just drop the excuses, what kind of person would I be? And it's uncomfortable, it's confronting, but it's the only place where you can change. So if you are serious about getting better, don't just try to do more, but try to understand yourself on a deeper level. That growth that you want isn't going to come from doing everything perfectly, but looking at the parts of yourself that you've rejected. So at the end of the day, you're not broken, you're just buried under a bunch of noise that you didn't choose. Socrates believed that asking the right questions is the way to truth, so maybe your truth is one question away too.